Hey guys, and today we're going to start Matthew's route. So yeah, new game, and skip to the right choices. Not Mika, it's Rose. Ta-da, ta-da. Oh god. Okay, let's see. Ugh, come on. I like Dragon Company better.
Booyah!
Skip. Okay, let's have what Naomi's having. A tuna sandwich sounds pretty good right now anyway. Yep. Oh no, Grandpa died. Just skipping like a boss.
Oh, man.
And this girl. And have to hit him this time. I'm sorry,
Ow!
Sam.
You're just being violent now!
Sorry. Jump and protect myself. And have to keep this creepy toy.
But it looks so creepy.
It's the thought that counts, right? You want to cheer me up after all. I picked up the doll and looked at it closely. Sure, it looked pretty weird at first, but it could be cute if you look at it from a certain angle. I gave him a small smile. Thanks.
You're welcome. It's good to see you smiling, even though the thing I made still kind of creeps me out. Anyway, you should come with me to the dining room. We're almost finished with the food, and, well, I don't mean to brag, but we're pretty decent chefs.
Sounds great. Lead the way. And skip-a-doo. No. Smack him.
Ugh!
So I didn't. Skip. La-la-la.
They're your brothers? Since when did you have brothers?
It was no use. There's no time to lie to them. I felt helpless. Skip. I'll stay and help around the house.
Are you sure?
Yes, Matt, I'm sure. So now I have to help Matthew with cooking. I walk into the kitchen and instantly look over at Matthew, who was quickly slicing up strawberries and placing them into a nearby bowl. I walked over and looked over his shoulder to watch. Matthew didn't seem to mind, so I decided to ask him a question. What are you making?
I'm going to make a large batch of strawberry cupcakes. These strawberries are going to be the top pieces.
Oh, that sounds delicious. Can I help?
Yeah, I kinda hoped you would. Can you start by making the batter for the cupcakes? I put the ingredients and some directions on the counter over there.
I nodded before heading over to another counter, where a string of ingredients and a small note card of directions sat at the ready. I smiled and began to work, mixing the ingredients and pouring the batter into the cupcake tins to bake. I had to admit, I made a little bit of a mess, but I felt like the cupcakes were still fine. There we go. Now we need to wait. As I turned to face Matthew, I noticed Matthew's red face. Why? I tilted my head before he walked away and moved his hand a bit towards my face. He stopped, however, looking to me for permission. not to him. Okay. Matthew continued to move his hand towards me, gently brushing a finger over my cheek. My senses tripled. Feeling his finger wiped over a small stain of powder and cream that had landed on my face.
You got a stain.
Thank you, Matthew. Matthew's finger was ginger and timid, wiping the stain off with as little contact as possible. Lightning shot through my body at each wipe, running down my spine in jolts. I closed my eyes, unconsciously leaning into his touch and naturally wanting more. However, Matthew pulled his hand away, causing me to open my eyes and look at him. Matthew was biting his lower lip and pulled his hand to his chest.
Sorry. I got it all?
Oh, that's so adorable. Oh, thank you. Matthew quickly shook his head and grinned his goofy grin at me before continuing to make another appetizer for the party. I blinked a couple of times, wondering if what I saw was real. The hour of the party arrived. Blah. Yes, I'm ready. I had to be confident in my skills. My dad expected a lot of me already. If I faltered at this party, who knows what he would think of me. I had to assure myself in every word that came out of my mouth that I was ready. And skip. What?
So, how do you feel living on your own at such a young age?
I'm doing my best.
I'm so sorry about...
Thank you.
Do you have college?
Yes. I don't know.
What do you think will happen with the company now that you're...
What do you think of the philanthropic policy?
Do you think the company should
So, what do I have to do? Let's see. Place a hand in his? No, wait, no. Oops. Simply not to him. Thank you.
You're welcome. Praise is very much deserved.
Day play. Okay. Let's see. Duck. Explore the house. Try. Read that already. Won't start them. Simple chicken and rice. Find one of the incubi. Okay, this is new. I quickly rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I looked down each hall, trying to find one of incubi, wondering so that I wouldn't have to go through each individual room finding them. I pursued my lips in irritation. Where the heck are they? Oh. I sighed, knowing that I would have to search for them in each room. I quickly turned and headed back to the dining room one last time. When I arrived, I gasped. Matthew was crouched near the kitchen doorway, peering it as if a rat had gotten loose in the pantry, and he was stalking the exterminator. Matthew?
Shh!
I quickly shut my mouth and pressed my lips together in silence, confused but fearful as to why I had to be quiet. I tiptoed to Matthew, who was crouching by the entrance to the kitchen. His gaze and his head moved across the side of the kitchen, still trying to find whatever he was looking for.
He's in there.
Who? What? Matthew's face was seriously fearful and intense. Who was freaking him out this much? My mind, however, instantly pinned the person down in my conclusion. Malax. Malax? Why did he come back here, and why was he in my kitchen? I started to freak out, remembering the fear I had felt the first time we had met. However, I wasn't sure. Where are the others if it was Malax?
I lost sight of him, but I quickly found him and cornered him in there. I know he's in there.
Who's in there?
That fluffy killer thing.
That fluffy killer thing. Fluffy killer thing? I bit my lip, suppressing a laugh. Once I swallowed my laughter down, I let out a sigh. You mean your cute bunny doll?
Yeah, that thing. Wait, is that cute?
Oh. Matthew instantly regretted not whispering and covered his mouth. I could not help but giggle. What's he doing in the kitchen? Matthew turned to me with an expression of uttermost seriousness. Something told me that what he said would be cute and funny, but I decided to bite my tongue gently to not laugh no matter what.
I don't know.
I failed to keep hold of myself and started to giggle again. The thought of a doll doing anything but sitting there made me giggle. Matthew tried to hush me, waving his arms frantically to keep me quiet. Matthew, Simon's a doll. It can't do anything.
You named him?
Yes, I named him Simon. Of course, Simon Tabby. Cute, isn't it? Matthew let out some sort of defeated whine before turning back to the kitchen, trying to find Simon from where he was. I placed our food on the table and looked as well. So, what's your plan of attack?
Well, I plan to make my way through the kitchen as quietly as I can, and hopefully not get stabbed.
And hopefully not get stabbed. Sounds simple. Matthew nodded in agreement before finally moving from his spot and tiptoeing into the kitchen. Oh, he's like sliding. I stood there unsure of whether or not I should follow suit. Join the hut. I didn't know why I was up for this, but I followed along. The small adventurous side of me was very happy with my decision, but another side of me was questioning me, asking me why I did that. Matthew slowly walked through the kitchen, scanning the cupboards and surfaces with a malicious glare. It was both amusing and slightly frightening to see how serious he could be. Do all of your toys get out of control like this?
No, it's just this one. I don't know why. All my other toys are okay.
Oh my god, he's so cute. Other toys? Matthew nodded, stopping his search to look at me.
That's what I do. Make toys. I made them for my mother all the time back in the Abyssal Plains, to help her cope with her position.
Her position?
She's the fourth wife of my birth father. Each of us have a different mother, and all of them, except for Damien's, are queens. My mom, though, hates sharing, so I distracted her with toys.
Huh. I didn't know what to say. A demon with a multiple wives seems natural, but I guess because he was human. I felt the twinge of disgust run through my veins nonetheless. Still, it was adorable how Matthew tried to cheer his mom up with his abilities. Oh, he's so cute. I just want to squeeze him. Hug, squeeze him. I was then suddenly reminded of my grandfather and how he made toys all the time for kids. Matthew's powers to make small toys instantly would have been useful to my grandfather. I shook my head and began to search for Simon again. Let's keep looking for Simon. Matthew nodded before joining in. I felt like I was in a comedy mystery, looking for a child's toy instead of a murder weapon.
Come on out, creepy thing.
Oh my god, his voice acting. The voice actor is really good. Its name is Simon. Matthew ignored my statement and began to slowly open the cupboards, shifting through the inside contents. I decided to follow suit, starting at the opposite end of the kitchen. Matthew, what do we do if we find him?
We stick him back in my pocket. And
I looked to Matthew, waiting for him to finish replying. However, he kept his eyes to the ground, trying to answer my question and remaining in thought. I continued to search the cupboards, unsure now if this plan was going to go anywhere. But I wasn't even doing this. Simon's tabby was up. Oh, poor Matthew. What the? Matthew and I scanned the kitchen frantically, searching for the source of the laugh.
I knew that thing was evil!
Suddenly everything went black.
Ah!
Who turned out the lights? I gripped to the nearby counter, not wanting to hit anything or fall in the darkness. There were no windows, so the room was almost completely pitch black. I could hear skittering across the floor, like a rat rushing to escape with its cheeks in mouth. I instantly jumped in fear before suddenly being pushed to the ground.
Ah! Watch out!
I found myself hit the ground with a body over top of me. Two hands were slammed beside my head onto the tile floor, stopping the person above me from crushing me.
Hey, are you okay?
No, not really. Matthew? Yeah, I am. I stared at Matthew, letting the situation sink in. We were looking for a doll and now we were on the ground. What broke my thoughts was a flash of gold running across Matthew's eyes. I could feel heat radiate from his body, but the air was tense and his body was almost shaky. Matthew, are you okay?
I
hear him gulp, answering my question. He wasn't okay, I could tell, but he wasn't moving. Matthew?
Sorry.
Soon a golden glow covered Matthew's eyes. I expected to feel warmth in my body from an upcoming spell, but I felt nothing. Something was wrong.
I need you to push me off.
Yes? From the sound of his voice, he was desperate to get up and off of me. Why couldn't he move, though? Then hit me. Matthew, do you need energy?
I do. But
Okay. Matthew shut his eyes to try to hide his golden gaze from me. He didn't want to take my energy. Why? Was he ashamed to? Kiss him, of course. If he needed energy, I was willing to give it. I gently grabbed Matthew's face and tilted his head to angle with mine, leaning in closer to him. Okay. I brought my face and lips up to his and kissed him deeply. I didn't know if this would help, but it was how he got energy before. I shut my eyes, waiting for the draining feeling to appear in my body. Matthew didn't move, nor did I feel energy drain from me. I opened my eyes and saw Matthew staring wide-eyed at me, but unmoving. He was unsure of what to do and had to silence him in confusion. I pulled away and spoke. I want to give you some energy. You use a lot of it, and I'm sure that the energy you took from me was only used for healing. Let me help you.
I don't.
Matthew, if you don't want my energy, just tell me, but I'm offering it to you if you do. All of a sudden, I felt that familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. I felt my body slightly heat up as Matthew wrapped an arm around my body and pulled my body tighter to his. Yeah, development there. Matthew gave a lustful gaze before bringing a hand up to cup the back of my neck. Before I knew it, Matthew pulled me into a gentle but passionate kiss. He erupted through my body as his kiss slowly and almost timidly got deeper. Matthew kept an arm around my waist while I rested my hands on his chest. Suddenly, I had no eyes! The energy from my body was slowly draining in the kiss, making me feel light and warm. It was almost pitiful how comfortable and willing I was in this situation. Still, I had no regrets. I was enjoying every bit of this kiss. Matthew was full of surprises. As childish as he was, he definitely was proving to be a man while he was kissing me. Matthew wasn't forceful, but his kiss was deep and passionate, and I felt almost magical. It was how I imagined the first kiss to be like, except with energy drain. Soon though, the energy drain stopped and Matthew gently pulled his face away to end the kiss. I stared up at him as we both panted for air. I had never kissed like that before and was so lost in the moment that I had forgotten how to breathe. Matthew moved a strand of hair from my face to behind my ear, eyes still full of desire. Matthew stared silently at me, unsure of what to say. However, I could tell that he was full, yet yearning. Do you want more? Because I don't want to do more. I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if I truly didn't want to give any more. Keep going. I opened the opportunity and was giving. No. I opened the opportunity and was and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more. I opened the opportunity and was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more and was going to let him keep going. I wanted to keep going. Again, wanted was all capped. I leaned up and kissed him again. Matthew gasped against my lips, but continued to kiss back. I could feel him pull on the tail of my bow, releasing it and falling his hand off from around my neck. He's a kid. How he? You know what? No, nothing. He moved the ribbon to his pocket before gently unbuttoning the 2 buttons of my blouse. The desire of my body drove me insane, forcing a moan to escape my lips as he ran kisses from my lips down to my exposed neck. As he began to ravish my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back and then a pleasureful sigh escaped my lips. Yay! Matthew was ruthless in his passionate kisses on my skin. Matthew didn't stop touching and kissing me, making more moans and gasps rush out of my mouth into the open air. He may have been full, but he was as hot as I was. How long is this kiss? Jeez, do you need air? I couldn't even comprehend how much time we spent making out. I was lost in a pleasure that I didn't care. Call it sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it. His touch, his kiss, his heat. I desired it beyond anything at the moment, even as he lowered his kisses down my chest just above my brow. My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about Matthew intrigued me immensely, but something made my heart quicken for him. It could have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy. Seeing the ceiling start to spin almost wildly, I gripped to Matthew's shoulders tried to signal him to stop, but my mind faded to black where I could let out another sound. That was intense makeout that she, passed out. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open. Adjusting to the sight around me, I felt familiar silks underneath me, letting me know that I was in my bed. I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that I was lingered. I felt a very soft pain in my neck and shoulders, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently in healing. However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned as if nothing happened between me and Matthew. I was just missing my ribbon. I was going to say weapon, but yeah, she doesn't have a weapon. Before I turned to get out of my bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow beside the one I slept on. It was tied around Simon Tabby in a nice bow with a small note attached to it. I gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
I'm really, really, really sorry. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Please forgive me.
Yeah, Matthew. I stared at the note, letting a small smile grace my lips. He went too far. I enjoyed it a lot. It was cute, though, to imagine him thanking me for something we both did and enjoyed. I bought the note to Chess, letting the memories of our meeting flood my mind. I indulged myself to Matthew. Good job. I looked to the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes, 4 hours being knocked out and I still feel tired. It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer if I wanted to. And then skip. Holy crap, that was too much reading. Okay, so this is Matthew's turn, I guess you could say. Before I reached the handle of the door, however, someone took my hand. Huh? I turned to see Matthew, who was holding my hand back with a concerned frown on his face.
My name.
Your name?
My true name isn't Matthew. I want you to know my real name. If something were to happen.
His true name? What did he mean? Why was he telling me this now? I remember reading about a demon's name in the journal I read yesterday. If you knew a demon's true name, you could summon them to you no matter where you are or where they were. Matthew gently pulled me to him and leaned close to whisper in my ear.
My name is Zakeru.
Zakeru! Oh god. As he said his name, I could feel it locked into my memory. Matthew pulled away and smiled at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you are in any danger, call my name. I promise I'll come and help you.
Yep, I stared up at Matthew, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. Matthew smiled before releasing my hand and heading into the dining room. Something told me that name would be used eventually. And Skip, holy crap. Glare into her freaking soul. Zakeru! Zakeru! I had to say it with the R, like rolled R. Zakeru! Ta-da! All of a sudden, a bright purple light engulfed the room, causing the devils around me to cover themselves.
What the?
Okay. Gusts of wind rushed past me, almost forcing me back. I covered my face with my arms, bracing myself and standing my ground. I tried to peek through my arms to see what was going on, but the light continued to shine brightly. As the gust slowly started to die, the light began to fade. revealing Matthew with his hand shoved in his pocket and his hood up. Oh, gangster Matthew! Matthew. Malak slowly moved his arms from his face, taking the sight of Matthew before laughing hysterically.
Are you kidding me? You summoned the crybaby runt?
Okay. Oh, Malak's laugh was cut short, however stopped by his gasp of pain and the thud of something embedding itself into flesh. Wow, I couldn't believe it, but somehow a knife had been stabbed into Malak's shoulder, causing him to grip it in pain.
What the hell? A knife?
Next time, I won't miss your throat.
Whoa, Matthew, you look like a gangster, like a like a gang member. Oh, little Matthew! Malak sneered before ripping the knife out of his shoulder and tossing it to the ground. He quickly raised his gun and shot at Matthew, resulting only stare wide-eyed at his target. In mid-air, a knife and Malak's bullet clash and both collide to the ground between the demon and the devil. Matthew chuckled and pulled a hand out of his pocket, revealing a handful of knives laid out as a fan. Jesus! Jeez! Matthew.
Too slow, Malix. Must suck being an old fart.
Damn! Malak instantly grew furious, charging at Matthew while shooting sounds at Malak. Malak instantly grew furious, charging at Matthew while shooting rounds at Matthew's shadow-covered face. Matthew followed suit, rushing backwards, and shot his knife at each of Malak's shot. Each shot had stopped by flying knife, making multiple clangs beat through the air. The remaining doubles stared, trying to figure out what to do, help Malak or watch in silence. Iris, however, walked up beside me and crossed her arms as she watched with an amused smirk on her face. As Matthew backed into the far wall, he stood still, tossing knife upon knife at the incoming devil and his bullets.
Gotcha, you knife-throwing circus freak!
I saw a smirk grow on Matthew's face before he hopped up and flipped over Malak. The devil skid to a stop, barely bumping against a brick wall. Matthew, however, didn't give Malak a chance to turn before shooting multiple knives into Malak's back. Oh no.
Bye-bye, Malix.
Bye-bye, Malak. Matthews tossed a knife into the air and caught it before chucking it back of Malak's head. The knife sadly didn't get to meet its target, as Malak ducked out of the way and turned to face Matthew with a face pure of rage.
You little shit! You think you're all that?
Matthew brought out another knife and tossed it up and down in his hands, unchained in his cool yet almost playful expression.
Little known fact, I just like having fun.
That's a load of bull, Matthew. You won't even fight me nor demon form. Why? Are you afraid I'll kill you as the demon scum you really are?
Demon form? I didn't understand. However, Matthew broke my thoughts from trying to figure that out.
Hey, mind closing your eyes for me?
Huh?
What are you babbling about now?
Before I could answer, the tension suddenly went from warm to almost ice cold. Then, at that moment, something in the air changed. The air instantly went from frantic to still in energy. What could have been described in tone as the color red quickly turned into a deadly mix of purple and blue, as everything began to blend together all at once.
You asked for it, Malix. Now you're gonna get it.
My eyes never strayed from Matthew's face, however, even as it changed. His eyes began to glow a bright golden color as a blue, as a dark blue circle formed underneath Matthew's bare feet. I stared at Matthew's skin begin to morph and shift, changing from human to something else. For some reason, I was both scared and incredibly intrigued to see his new form. Before I allowed to see Matthew's new form, however, a pair of hands quickly covered my eyes. Instantly, I reached up and gripped them, trying to pull them off. A voice stopped me.
It's me.
Damien! I listened carefully and let out the last two words lingering in my mind. Don't look. Why? What was being hidden from me? I wanted to know, but something told me to obey Damien's command. I suddenly heard gunshots making me tense up, but then I heard the sound of multiple stabs, followed by Malex's screams of pain. The stabbing and splashing sound of blood and flesh grew more frantic in number. How many knives was Matthew using? Maybe it was berries that I wasn't able to see.
Matthew, enough!
Almost instantly after James' command, the sound stopped. The only thing anyone could hear was the dripping of blood.
I guess I went a little overboard.
Yeah, like a lot overboard. Like way overboard.
Malex is definitely dead, but you've lost your glamour spell.
Glamour spell? What did he mean? Why did Matthew sound so different? Why was I being hidden from?
It's a spell that makes us look human.
I froze. Look human. They didn't have human forms after all. What did they look like?
Like demons.
Well, no kidding, Damien. As Eric knew what Damien was talking about, Eric cleared his throat and spoke up, followed by the sound of a cork popping out of a bottle.
Well, not for much longer, Princess. Here, Matthew.
Oh, hey, you found my potion. Thanks.
I could hear the small clicking of glass being passed before hearing Matthew guzzle down a liquid of some sort. The field of air around me gently began to warm back up. Insinuating, oh my god, I can't read, that everything had been returned to normal. Finally, Damien moved his hands from my eyes, allowing me to see around me once again. The devils, including Arias, had fled. On top of Malex's body was a dirty sheet that was quickly turning red from blood. The wall behind was painted red in blood, still dripping onto the floor and onto the blanket. The blanket looked like it was covering a mound of dirt instead of a body. The boys, however, had gathered around me, all of them, including Matthew, looking like nothing had happened. I tried to speak, but everything zipped around in my head at the whole event, and I felt like speaking wasn't possible.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
I could only nod. What had happened boggled my mind to the point of disbelief. I was second-guessing everything, lost in a sea of what and how and when. As we walked out of the warehouse, I looked to Matthew for some sort of sign that I wasn't dreaming. Matthew rubbed the back of his neck, walking forward as to get away from what had happened. It was over. Okay, skip. Holy crap. Okay. Read again. I looked to Matthew, feeling my heart fluttered in my chest. I didn't want him to leave, but would he ask to stay? I hoped that he would say no and ask me to stay longer. As if he knew what I wanted, Matthew moved and stepped to me, taking my hands in his, gently smiled at me and spoke.
I want you to know that you've been really generous to us, and I want to thank you for letting us stay here. But is it okay if we stay a little longer?
Oops. Okay. My heart skipped while a large red blush ran across his cheeks. The boys stared at Matthew while I but didn't dare to speak out. Matthew stepped back to give me space, returning to where he was. I moved my gaze across each floor, trying to make a decision, and I could skip. Let them stay, of course. And okay. I watched a happy smile grow on Matthew's lips. He shared my excitement, knowing that we would be together longer. Who knew how long we would stay together? All I cared about was what I would be with him. The others quickly left to finally rest, leaving me and Matthew alone at last. His smile is like, what? My heart fluttered a bit as Matthew practically skipped closer to me in excitement. It was really cute to see him that way, so I didn't do anything but smile.
Thank you so much for letting us stay.
You're welcome, Matthew. I'm happy to have you stay here. I watched his smile brightening a bit before he cleared his throat and chuckled a bit. I don't know if it was the tiredness or my growing attachment to him, but I felt myself sway a bit on my feet. However, Matthew's face made it clear that he wanted to say something else, making me forget that my dad was also calling for me.
Listen, about what happened at the warehouse.
No, it's fine. You did what you had to do, I understand. I had accepted everything that happened and knew that Matthew had to do what he had to do. He was real and he was someone I didn't want to be without, even if that meant nodding against my curiosity. Besides, I was too tired to explore the memory further. Matthew nodded before holding out a hand to me.
Come on then, let's get you to bed.
So much reading! I nodded before Matthew gently lifted me up into his arms like a bride and carried me to my room. I didn't want to leave his arms, leaning my head against Matthew's chest, but eventually I was slowly lowered to my bed and covered in my bed covers. I was still in my school clothes, but I was too tired to strip or care. I looked to Matthew, finding a yawn from escaping me as he gently ran a hand over my hair.
Have a good night, okay? I'll make breakfast again in the morning.
I nodded with a tired smile before watching him slowly stand and leave my room, closing the door. A wave of happiness washed over me as I laid in bed. I made a good choice. Sure, it would be hard, but I could tell that I would be able to manage it. Help around the house and being with a man whom I was slowly starting to fall for would be worth it. Holy crap, Skip. That picture. Diana. And then... ta-da! I could feel my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on Matthew. He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know what he wanted to say. Stay. Diana sighed and pressed a finger into her temple, rubbing it gently. Yep. Matthew walked over to me and held my hand gently, looking at me with a smile.
Everything will be okay. Promise.
I nodded, feeling that he was telling the truth, or at least a hopeful and comforting thought, and smiled back. Matthew gently leaned close to me and kissed my cheek, however, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. The sound of collective chuckles and sneakers whispered through the air, making me blush even more, but their laughter stopped as Sam let out an oof after a fluffy object collided with his face. I looked up to see Matthew was glaring at his brothers, holding a fluffy anime plushie. What anime plushie? He and I pulled... Okay. Skip. La. Boom. Matthew. Suddenly Diana stopped in her tracks.
Matthew? Who is...
Then it dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why don't you tell me which boy is Matthew?
I felt myself nodded in compliance. The fourth? Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The child? With you?
I nodded once again, but this time it was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a carrot's purr before stepping away from me.
Alright then. Well, if it's the fourth son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
And skip. Holy crap.
It'll be okay. Just trust him.
I looked to Matthew, unsure of what was going on, but I nodded. If this was the only way to learn, then this was my chance to know. Skip. Holy crap. Whew. Okay. After what seemed like hours, I finally woke up, slightly refreshed. My body knew that if I slept any longer, I'd be up all night, which was not part of the plan for the day. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, letting a soft groan escape my lips. In response, something beside my bed shuffled, causing me to look over. I didn't know what I was expecting. Beside me, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was Matthew, rousing himself up to see me awake. I smiled at him, seeing his slightly ruffled hair and tired eyes.
Oh, you're awake. How do you feel?
I feel better. Matthew nodded before he looked down at the bed, taking my hands into his.
I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
Matthew, it's not your fault.
No, please listen. I know that Diana and Malix have come after you because of us, so it's our fault that you're constantly in danger. If I hadn't convinced everyone to come to the human world, we would have never been attacked by Malix, hunted down, and brought you in danger and...
I quickly reached over and put my finger on his lips, stopping him from going any further. I didn't want to hear anymore. Matthew, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cupped Matthew's cheek, staring at him with concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate and she'd hunt anyone for them. It wasn't his fault. She was desperate enough to hunt them down. However, I grew curious. So, Matthew, you're noble. Matthew looked at me. He gave me a goofy smile. That is a creepy smile, but okay.
I was once, but even if I had the title, I didn't really feel like a noble.
How come?
Well, I was the fourth noble son of the Demon Lord. With Eric and Sam ahead of me in case James couldn't fulfill his duties, there was no way I was getting the throne. So, I spent the majority of my time trying to make my mother happy. She was always unhappy.
Your mom is an unhappy person. Huh. Unhappy, how come?
Well, my dad was he married 4 different women. Each of us came from a different mother, and my mother was the last to be married and bear a son. The thing with succubi, though, is that they get jealous very easily.
Oh, really? So, what happened?
The other wives got mad and scorned each other. It wasn't violent, but we never ate together for a reason. My mom, though, was too proud to have jealousy. She was the last woman the Demon Lord married, so she felt important. She felt that because he stopped marrying, she had the charm to stop his marrying spree.
Matthew let out a small laugh, a hint of depression lingering in the breath he let out.
But then the Demon Lord took another woman and she bore him a son outside of wedlock. Damien. The wives, including my mother, were furious. In response, the Demon Lord had a spell cast on them, turning them into spiritual orbs.
Oh, so that's why they're floating gas. Yeah. That's horrible. Matthew nodded, pressing his lips together in both agreement and sadness.
They could never have physical form, and they lost all their powers. They became slaves trapped in the Demon Lord's castle. However, they were kept alive to make sure their sons grew up to be competent demons.
I'm sorry. Matthew gently shrugged, letting a small, nostalgic smile grace his lips.
She taught me how to be a demon, though. Not just a demon, a grown, adult demon. I read books, I learned strategy, everything that James was doing under the Demon Lord's watch. Only, I trained with just my mother. She wanted me to surprise the Demon Lord one last time, and maybe take the throne away from James.
Matthew then reached into his pocket and took out a small mirror.
Here, I'll show you.
Matthew handed it to me and sent a wave of blue mist into it. It began to glow until it enveloped the room in a bright light. When the light had subsided, I was back in the main hall of the demon castle. I looked around, feeling unable to move, but I could practically see everything as clear as I had before. Wait, it's not off. Great. However, my focus gathered on Matthew, sitting on a throne as if it was his and reading a book. For some reason, Matthew reminded me of James at that moment. He seemed engrossed in his reading each word and absorbing each meaning. Him on the throne surprisingly fit him. There's something about him.
This is an easy read.
Sure it is. Oh god, what the hell? A sudden cry, however, echoed through a hall, forcing Matthew to stop, close the book, and stand from the throne. That's a creepy cry.
Mother?
Okay, sounds like a child. I looked around, confused at the cry and where it was coming from. It seemed to just echo through the room without any source of direction. Matthew sighed and placed the book on the armrest of the throne before he cupped his hands together.
Fly and comfort her, will you?
That is a really creepy cry. It's like a horror game cry. Ugh. As Matthew opened up his hands, a small bird with blue and purple feathers perked up from the hiding place. Matthew smiled before releasing it into the air. I watched it as it flew off and glided through an open archway. The sound of its flapping wings faded into air as it flew farther into the castle.
Come on.
I could tell Matthew was holding his breath. He must have cared very deeply for his mother. It was incredibly sweet. At last, the sound of crying stopped, making Matthew release a happy sigh.
There we go.
Matthew crackled his knuckles in approval and reached for his book. However, before he could even graze the cover with his fingers, the sound of pattering entered the room.
You, fourth son, away from the throne!
All right.
What am I going to do with you? You're a child.
Wow. Matthew glared at the servant as the servant quickly brushed the throne off, like there was dust all over it.
The next time I see you on the throne, I will inform the Demon Lord. Understand?
Yes.
The demon servant continues to brush over the throne before knocking the book from the armrest. Matthew froze as the servant quickly patted over and picked it up.
What is this? A book? Why do you have it?
I was reading.
You read? You don't need to read. You're never going to need knowledge for anything, fourth son.
I see Matthew's eyes twitch, making me grimace. This servant sure had a mouth. It was annoying at the very least.
I'll just take this book and bring it to the heir himself to read. He's reading faster than the library can provide.
Oh, James. Oh.
But that's...
Raestro's next area of study.
The servant began to walk away, ignoring Matthew's glare of anger. The servant stopped, however, to look to Matthews to pound one more nail into the wood.
Let's face it, kid. You have the smallest horns, the smallest frame, and the least amount of power among the noble sons. You'll never be like them, so just stop trying. Use your incubus powers on others who have a child fetish or something.
Wow, that is just... He has no right to say it. That's just rude. The demon looked at Matthew up and down before rushing off wherever he came from. As the servant disappeared, Matthew summoned a knife and chucked it in the direction where the servant left. The knife embedded itself into the hard stone beside the door into the hall.
Ugh, I hate that guy. Disgusting pig fawn.
Matthew walked over and sat on the foot of the throne, clearly aggravated. Eventually, Matthew stopped his magic, lowering the mirror and holding it in his hands before looking to me.
I had hoped to show you my mother, but I guess the mirror wanted to show you something else. Sorry.
Oh, that servant is terrible.
Tell me about it. He served the demon lord almost his whole life. Ugly pig fawn.
Matthew laughed while I laughed at the insult. It was good to see Matthew in good spirits despite what was shown and what was happening around us. Still, it was sad to see that he was considered a child of the noble sons. He could read books of knowledge that his brothers hadn't read, and he seemed caring. It was insulting to see someone tear him down like that. Matthew smiled at me before pocketing the mirror.
Whatever. Thankfully, we got out of there, so I could be with my brothers like a normal family. No hierarchies, no politics, no pig funds, nothing.
I smiled. It was good that he saw the positive side. However, his face slowly turned into a sad one before he looked down at the bed. Matthew?
You've done a lot for me and my brothers, sheltering us, letting us continue to live here. It may not seem like much, but for us it's everything. But I don't want you to get hurt because of us.
I watched in speechless silence as Matthew lifted his head, his eyes full of almost hopelessness.
That's why I'm sorry.
Matthew lowered his head in shame. I couldn't help but feel my heart squeeze within my chest at the sight. He truly cared. Matthew let out a small sigh before looking to me with a new smile. He hid his sadness well, but I could tell he was still upset about the whole ordeal.
Alright. You need to sleep and I need to make dinner. I'll wake you up when dinner is done.
Matthew gently pressed me back down onto the bed, resolved in what had happened. Steal a kiss, of course. I couldn't let him leave without doing something. That sounded really perverted. I quickly pulled Matthew down to me, lifted my head and gently kissed him. Soft lying a head on his cheek to keep his face closed, Matthew stared in deep surprise before hesitantly kissing me back, caressing my cheek and slightly melting at the touch of our lips. A soft sigh escaped his lips before he slowly pulled me away with a smile. He gently licked his lips, making me go red in the face with a simple gesture. He let out a satisfied sigh before nuzzling my forehead.
Go to sleep.
And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me rest as per his request. I smiled to myself before relaxing into the mattress. And that's where she comes in. I suddenly tensed up. I felt majorly uneasy. Something wasn't right. I felt in my core. Read it last time with Sam's route. Yeah. Oh no, Matthew. My heart stopped. Diana was with Matthew. My mind flew into slow motion. Diana tried to seduce Matthew in my head, and anger flame inside me. Wait, okay. This didn't happen. I instantly followed Matthew's voice. I was approaching the grand lobby and followed the commotion to the dining room. The sound was echoing from the kitchen, so I peeked inside while hiding around the corner. I almost growled at the sight. Matthew was holding to one side of the kitchen island counter with Diana holding the other side, looking to him with a smirk.
Oh, come on, Matthew. Don't you like games? A game of tag sounds so fun.
Not with you. Now go away!
Damn! Not with you.
I'm hurt. Wounded, truly. Did I go too far?
You went too far when you came here and attacked her.
Oops.
Pity. And here I thought I was going to offer you the chance to become something better than just a simple incubus.
What was Diana going on about? More than incubus? She looks insane.
How about becoming the next demon lord?
I froze. What did she mean? Blah blah blah. Yeah. Matthew stared at Diana, which made me worried.
The next demon lord?
Well, currently, I'm the contracted bride to the heir to the throne. Since the throne is open, it's available to any son of the demon lord's line. Think about it. You'll gain the throne, the land, and a bride to continue your lineage with. Doesn't that sound like a perfect life for an incubus like you? You'll show your father and mother how grown up you are, that you're not just some little cute boy people can take for granted.
I could feel myself gripping my fists tightly in anger. How dare this girl try to convince Matthew to return to the demon world? He ran away from it. He didn't have to go back. He shouldn't go back. Yeah.
Like I would believe you.
Well, jeez, Matthew, damn.
You don't need to believe me, Matthew. You just need to come back home with me. I promise you'll be respected as you were supposed to be. Fall for what?
I'm not falling for it.
Fall for what? The truth? The truth is that your brothers still treat you like a child, even though the demon world is far behind you. The truth is that your little human love affair is fleeting. She can never see you as a man, just as a little boy who wants to grow up.
To be honest, I thought he was like the fifth son, but he's the fourth son, so I'm kind of surprised.
Stop it!
I stared as Matthew chuckled a handful of knives at Diana, who ducked and dodged him with ease. They dug themselves into the tile wall before fading away as they didn't exist.
You dare attack me?
I'm not going back, and that is final!
I could see Matthew's muscles tense up and flex, wanting to attack Diana. The girl in question, however, took a deep breath and looked to Matthew with a pleading look.
You won't even return to your mother. She's been crying ever since you
You can't do that! You can't use that as like... Yeah.
Do not bring her into this!
Don't even... Matthew glared as Diana circled the island towards him.
She begged me to bring you back. She wants you to get what you deserve. The throne.
I don't believe you!
Matthew then walked away from Diana, heading to the fridge to start dinner. He's like, I don't give a F if she's here, I'm gonna just start dinner. as if she wasn't there. Diana stopped and leaned against the counter.
She'll never love you, you know.
I don't mind. I care for her.
The human girl? You must be joking. A human like her can't possibly provide you what you need. She is a human. You're a demon.
I felt the urge to storm in and shut her mouth. It would give away my position, but I was growing extremely tired. Diana, I have to go in. I decided to be assertive and come in between them. Get out.
Well, well, little human. You're awfully nosy in business that doesn't concern you.
Well, it does concern me.
Does it? I don't think a human would understand the importance of this affair.
You're asking him to leave to be someone he doesn't want to be. That's not going to happen.
Oh? And what makes you so sure about that?
I love him. Oh god, that face. Diana stared in shock at my exclamation. Was it not what she expected? I didn't care what she expected. I wasn't going to lose the man I had grown to love.
You love him?
Yes, I love him. Diana's lips twitched, the edges curling into a amused smirk as she stared at me.
So what? A human's love isn't enough to understand the situation. A demon can never reciprocate human feeling.
To both of our surprise, Matthew stepped forward to move an arm around and pulling me close to his body.
I love her.
Soap opera part 2. I saw confidence and raw.
A demon love a human? Impossible.
You heard me. I love her, Diana. I'd do anything for her, and she cares for me more than anyone in the abyssal plane ever had. More than you'll ever know. She makes me feel like the adult I'm supposed to be, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Ever.
Diana took a step back, physically feeling the sting, yeah. Diana's eyes grew dull as she glared at me and Matt. It seemed almost uncharacteristic of her, yet something I wasn't surprised about.
Very well. Fine. Valet.
And with that, Diana faded into the ground, into a purple pentagram, crossing her arms and almost looking upset. Matthew and I were left alone, left with the silence of the room. I finally let out the air. I was unconsciously holding my chest.
Are you alright?
I nodded in response and unable to speak so immediately after being surprised. Matthew let out a sigh, relaxing in the embrace. I gently placed my hands around him, turning the embrace slightly. I could hear Matthew's heartbeat. He held me close in his arms and I felt safe beyond words. Are you okay?
Of course I'm okay. I'm holding you.
Great. I wonder where this is going to turn into. Go from. I looked up to Matthew, surprised at what he said. Matthew blushed, moving a strand of hair from my face to look down at me.
You mean so much to me. You make me feel like more than just a kid. I've never felt this happy before with anyone, and here you are giving me every reason to love you. I love you so freaking much.
That's so cute. He said freaking. He said freaking. I stared wide-eyed, blushing like a meteor. Was this real? No way. No way. This couldn't be real. Was Matthew confessing to me? Confessing his love for me? Matthew gently caressed my cheek, staring into my eyes with a loving, almost hopeful expression. The warmth of his hand invited me to nestle into it, closing my eyes. This wasn't a dream. My heart was pounding hard enough where I was sure Matthew could hear it. Matthew gently leaned in, closing his eyes. He stopped, however, remaining just a mere tortuous inch away from our lips. He wanted me to show my feelings for him. He had left himself open for me to kiss him or leave him empty. The power I had was unbelievable. Yep. I loved him, and I wanted to give him exactly what he wanted. I leaned in, letting my lips finally touch his gingerly. Matthew let out almost a surprised gap against my lips before wrapping both of his arms around my waist, pulling me close to him. I moved my arms in around his neck, feeling the kiss between us deepen to a heated height. My chest was pounding, making me feel to see fireworks in my mind. Matthew was everything I desired. He was the man I wanted, demon or not. It was all supernatural, yeah. I found myself combing my fingers through Matthew's hair, making the man holding me softly tremble at my touch. He gently nibbled at on my lower lip, asking me to deepen the kiss between us even further. I easily teased him before finally opening my mouth slightly for him. I don't want to read this. Okay. His tongue gently danced with mine as soon as one of his hands slipped up my back and cradled my head. He gently leaned my body back, making me cling to him as the heat of our kiss rose higher and higher. Gently though, Matthew slowed the kiss down and pulled away, staring down at me. His eyes burned for me, wanting me to melt and buckle in his arms. I could feel myself melt already. Matthew opened his mouth to speak, but as a very small blush ran across his cheeks, he was reduced to shy silence. I stared as he tried to find the words to say in my eyes. I knew exactly what he wanted. He didn't need energy, though, right? Are you?
No, I just...
I stared wild-eyed, feeling a blush on my cheek grow. He didn't say anything more, and I knew what words would have followed if he continued. He wanted me. Oh no. Great. You done? I was stunned. Was I that appealing to him? Was his passion really that deep for me? Matthew gently nuzzled my forehead, losing the blush and finally being able to speak.
If you don't want to, we don't have to. I mean, it's up to you.
This is so awkward. I could feel my mind go numb and purr at the idea. A moment with an incubus. He was a demon of sex, a purest form of lust and desire. My world would rock, and I would enjoy every second of it. At the same time, I was indeed unexperienced. Seduce me, 'cause that's the game's name. I couldn't believe the two words out of my mouth. I need him, I wanted him. Those two words must have been something in him finally break. The two words must have made something in him finally break. Matthew gently wrapped his arms around me and went back to kissing me passionately. I could feel energy whisk about me, making me one eye open to see blue light glowing around us. And then back to the bedroom! When the light subsided, I was in the bedroom on my bed with Matthew. I stared as Matthew held a look of lust and love. My heart skipped a beat, simply from his gaze on me. This was okay. I wanted to see all of him and give myself to him. Great! I gently guided his head to me, kissing him slowly and bringing him further into the mood. I don't want to read this again. Let's get this over with. Quickly, I removed my shirt and vest, making Matthew stop kissing me and stare in slight surprise. I was simply in a bra, but could feel a blush invade my cheeks. My shy side began to fester in my mind. Did I really want this, to undress before a demon? No, this was the man I loved, and yet I felt my innocence draped over me in an almost shame. I needed to fight it. I quickly rolled both of us over to where I was sitting on Matthew's lap. Staring down at him, Matthew sat up, looking up at me with the most sexy smiles I had ever seen. What's the sexiest smile? And that doesn't look at that doesn't even look like Matthew at all. Like, I don't know, the art is weird. Matthew pulled me close, though I was still shy, and began to kiss my lips over and over. Each kiss was his promise to keep me safe, keep me comfortable, love me. I kept my arms wrapped around Matthew, taking each kiss he gave and giving me my own kisses in return. I didn't know if it was the fact we were both top nude, or maybe I was just craved his touch, but I didn't want him to but I didn't want to let him go. However, as he held me, I could slightly feel the shiver in his hands. Was I his first? He was going to tell me he wanted me to enjoy the moment, but I was afraid of screwing up. His shivering hand showed me his emotions perfectly. As he laid me down and knelt over me, Matthew smiled and finally embraced me as we both desired. The pleasure between us would be heavenly, and we'd go through it together. I closed my eyes and gave myself to Matthew. My body, my mind, my soul, it all belonged to him as he held me. His body, his mind, his soul, it all belonged to me as I gave into his embrace. His kisses and his fingers over my skin would forever engrave themselves into my memory as our passion rose through incredible heights. Our breaths and moans to each other equally sound and echo like a blissful chant we never wished to end. We kept moving, loving, feeling every inch of our bodies until we had enough and I was enveloped in his embrace. Skin to skin, heartbeats matching, we held each other in the glow of the aftermath. I nestled my hand under Matthew's chin as he held me close.
I love you.
I love you too, of course. Just to hear those words come from Matthew's mouth make my heart flutter. To hear the answer make my soul warm in glee. Yeah. That love and my happiness. When I opened my eyes, I found myself staring into Matthew's bare chest. I blushed but woke up to see Matthew still sleeping. His sleeping face made me giggle softly, but the reality of the situation made my heart flutter. I couldn't believe I was lying next to the man, and yep, Diana. Yeah, yep. Thank God I didn't have to read it. No. The rest of the story can almost be passed over. With Diana gone, my life returned to normal. Yep, Matthew loved, One thing was for certain, however. Matthew loved me, and I just loved him as much. We had promised our lives to each other, and nothing was going to take that away from us, not even time itself. Our love was so powerful, it practically overwhelmed me with joy every time I felt him holding me close every morning. To think a demon loved with a human like me, it was unthinkable, unbelievable, it's practically impossible. But it was true. Other boys decided to leave on their own accord. But what about my harem? My little harem with incubies. No. Darn it. My harem just disappeared. James helped out, the CEO. Yep. One afternoon, a good couple of years after boys and I had met, I had a moment to myself, so I wandered in my house to take in all had happened as if it was a dream. The demons, the magic. The demons, the devils, the magic. It was all surreal to believe. It almost frightened me to think that it could all been a dream. But the warm feeling in my heart reminded me that it was all real. The demons, the magic, and the love I had, all real. I smiled as I held my hands to my chest, relishing in the feelings dancing within my soul. I let out a happy sigh before looking up and seeing where I had wandered to. I realized that I was sitting in the dining room. I stopped at the smell of baked goods. Taking a gigantic whiff, I let the smell of sugar and sweets fill my senses. Smells really great. Matthew must be baking again. I tiptoed over and peeked into the kitchen, wanting to know what he was making.
Almost done.
I watched as Matthew started to decorate an already wonderful-looking cake with blue and white frosting. It looked delicious. I was practically salivating. However, as I watched him, I smiled. He looked so concentrated in his work. It was adorable.
And there! Perfect!
He could have said, "Yosh!" Yosh! Matthew stepped back from the cake, allowing me to see his masterpiece. It was perfect. I wanted a taste, and soon. That looks amazing, Matthew.
What?
But Matthew quickly turned to me in surprise, trying to hide the cake as I laughed.
I'm not done. I mean...
Oh, so adorable! Matthew? I walked over and smiled, giving him a kiss before walking around him to the cake. Closer, it looks all the more scrumptious. What is this for?
Well, I mean, it's for something pretty important.
I looked to Matthew, raising an eyebrow as he wrapped an arm around my waist. What is it for?
Guess. I'll give you 3 chances.
Or what? What if I don't get it right?
Then the cake is all mine.
Hey! Sharing is caring! You can't eat all the cake all by yourself. Hey! No fair! Instantly, I wanted to pull away, but Matthew laughed and dabbed some whipped cream on my nose from a nearby decorating spatula.
It's totally fair. Now just guess.
Is it your birthday? Matthew shook his head.
Nope. Second guess.
Is it an anniversary? Matthew nodded, but before I could cheer, Matthew rotated his hand, gesturing me to continue.
Anniversary of?
I puffed my cheeks. I could memorize facts and lessons, but dates were bad. It was like asking a girly girl when her boyfriend's party was. Frat? What the hell? Frat? Frat! Okay. Matthew laughed as he kissed my cheek, making my puffed cheeks deflated.
It's the anniversary of when we first met.
I had practically forgotten. He was right. It had been a couple years since I moved in and met Matthew and his brothers. He threw a party last year for it. How could I have forgotten? Time definitely flew. Matthew smiled at me, making my heart flutter and squeak once again.
I want to celebrate it every year in a different way. Next year will be something extraordinary. For now, though, this cake will do.
Aww. I quickly pulled Matthew's head down with my hand and kissed him sweetly. Wanting to show my appreciation with a kiss, he stared at me as if his greatness wish had come true. I fought back a giggle at the sight. Matthew gently pulled me to him, hugging me to his chest. I nuzzled into Matthew's chest, hearing his gentle heartbeat and memorizing his tempo.
I love you.
She got cut off. I love you too. Before I could finish, suddenly the cake, which had been sitting silently and peacefully on the counter, exploded into a giant mess on it. Matthew luckily was quick enough to pull us back before we got hit with flying cake pieces.
What the?
I looked at the cake to see a very mischievous little creature standing over the cake, triumphant at what it had done. Oh, so cute. I began to laugh as Matthew grew red-faced.
Simon Tabby!
Simon Tabby! I quickly rushed over and grabbed Simon, and made a squeak noise in my hands. We were still giggling as Matthew came over and glared daggers at the white doll covered in cake. To calm Matthew down, however, I stretched up on my toes and kissed him softly on the lips. Wait, he's taller than you? I thought you were like the same height. Never mind, never mind. Matthew stared but kissed back, not wanting to let me go without a kiss of my own. I love you, Matthew. Matthew sighed before smiling at me, finally calm.
I love you too.
I didn't want to wake up if this was indeed a dream. I felt light as a feather, not wanting to ever let go of this man in my life. There was no words that could describe the emotions within me. I felt joy, happy, ecstatic, high all at once. Again, how could you feel high? Here I was with the man I would be with forever, with the cake I would delight in, even in pieces. I had gained the heart of a demon. No, a man I loved. I vowed to cherish him and love him for the remainder of my days and beyond. Could a demon love a human forever? I knew Matthew would. And that was my happily ever after. End Matthew's cake. N. Neil passed around World Demon War. I have no idea what's that for. And that's it for Matthew's route. So yeah. Janet!